Hey there, collective. How you doing? So, I know yesterday I went over the things that we want to see in a partner, that we should look for in a partner. Today, I'm going to go over the negative signs to stay away from in a partner, and when you see them, just go the other direction. I've been called to come out and talk about this because a lot of these were things that were projected onto me by my own twin flame, but because of the lifetimes that I had a vision of that we had, um, I've always been called to show unconditional love in situations that are that can be scary um, for a lot of people. And so one of my callings um, was to pretty much it felt like I was fighting the devil. And when I was little, I once got I would get a vision quite a bit, but one of them was, I remember I was like, probably like 7 or 8 in my bed, and I remember just getting a vision of just me showing so much love towards a cruel person, and it felt like I was fighting the devil, and that is exactly how it was displayed to me. Um, it was a representative of the devil. At the time, I didn't know what shadow work or anything that was, but it was difficult for me to see these things in someone that I truly love and care about. Um, but there are just some missions on this earth that some souls get, especially the chosen ones, where they're hard and it hurts and it breaks your heart. But I'm going to go over some of these because a lot of them I experienced about every single one of them in a very short amount of time. And it was scary, and people try to and certain spirits, especially the spirit of the narcissist, try to turn me into something that I'm definitely not. And so this one's pretty hard, but I just want to, I need to get it out there so people know that if you're on the more extreme end of a twin flame journey, um, these are some things that can happen. And I can't tell you how to handle your situation because every situation's different. I don't like to do a lot of. I can compare situations, but I don't like to compare people's journeys to my own. And that's kind of hard doing readings because a lot of the cards that come out are tied to a lot of stuff that I experienced, and I believe that's something that happens throughout the whole collective, and then a lot of it's just energy, and I can bring all that in, but I'm going to go over these negative signs to stay away from if you haven't already gone through them. One of them that's not mentioned is jealousy, which I know that comes through the collective cards a lot. I kind of wish they would get rid of some of the negative words on those cards, just because jealousy can create resentment. And what I learned when I was younger, during Bible study, one of my teachers said, she told me that resentment can poison your blood. And once you start having resentment, it's hard to come back from that. But yeah, anyone that you know that has resentment towards you, or if you have resentment towards anyone, I just encourage you to find ways to work that out, because it's not good. It stays in your DNA. It can carry over into the next generation, and that was something that happened with my ex. Is her mother had a very resentful spirit, because she was very young and became a mother, and that's kind of how things go culturally for them. But I've met other people that have had this situation. I'm not going to say specifically what culture, but because it happens throughout, it just really depends on your environment you grow up in. But I know there's a lot of women, even today, that have been carrying on generational curses of their mothers having to pretty much be locked up in the home and raise their children, and they carry that resentment over, and when they pass, those thoughts pass along, and it'll stay, to the next. And if you're already pre-programmed for it, it carries over, and that's unfortunate. But you have to recognize your patterns. In your family, the one that you're born into, which is why I try to stay away from mine. It's not like it was super horrible. It's just I cannot hold energy for them, and by me not being there, it helps them go within, and that's a hard decision, especially when you really need someone by your side at certain points in your life. But it's doable. It just it can really hurt. But cleansing out your energy and your soul, that's your job. That's your mission. No one else can do that for you. You can talk to other people about it, and find your safe people. But ultimately, you have to do that work. And I wish the collective all the best in their endeavors on doing their soul work, so we can all ascend and to the next generations. And we have examples and leaders, in the current generation, and we, it vibrates out to, the rest of the collective, and kids pick up on it, and we have a future of better leaders. But anyways, I'm going to get into these signs to look out for. So one of them, telling lies, deceptive behavior, fabricating things, pretty much narcissist. Fabricating things is pretty much like pathological lying. In my experience, when I was working, doing some work for the FBI, there were some situations where they had to get it's hard to talk about this one just because it's really not. I lead with the truth, and I always find the truth. I'm pretty much a human lie detector, but I know there's a lot of people that aren't. But when I learned what wargaming is, and I learned just how deceptive people's demons can be, and the lengths of things people have to do to go through and find the lies within. There is a certain amount of fabrication that does happen, but I don't even want to call it really fabrication. I guess it'd be evidence collecting, but it's still just, there were some people that try to fabricate some things, before I got married, and I'm pretty much me and another individual I know found out that our marriage was a complete lie, and my friend's previous spouse straight up told her that, and I thought that was just insane. But I mean, I guess she got the truth, but she told me she wasn't fazed by it. That was my friend Valerie. She told me about that, and I was like, that is just bonkers. But yeah, she got set up pretty hard, and then that's when I realized that I was also being set up for things that I didn't really consent. I didn't consent to a lot of them, you know, and a lot of it had to do with lack of communication. But I'm gonna get down to that one. But anyways, so telling lies, deceptive behavior, fabricated things, narcissistic behaviors, pulling the veil over someone's eyes, distorted sense of justice, wishing ill on others, shows no respect to others, brings problems that you don't need, and then makes dramatic moves to hide what they are doing. So there was a part of this where my twin did some of this, did something dramatic in our classroom setting that I was sitting there nodding my head to, and I didn't understand what was happening because everything was all good to go, and then all of a sudden things went to crap, and it was somewhere after I sent an email to my twin saying, you know, like, you have a purpose in this life, and I don't know if, I mean, part of that probably scared my person, because when some people, when I get that feeling of someone's calling, I can't help, I can't stuff it down, and I have to let it out, and it really sucks. But I didn't know how to do that in a healthy way before, and I fully admit that. But now I do. But it wasn't like I was trying to be extreme, but I'm also a very passionate individual. So when I send that energy, it's like, it's not just coming from me, it's coming from an array of, you know, good spirits that are just trying to wake someone up. And I guess that was in a way a reward for my twin, for, you know, coming back into my environment, waking me up without having to really say much, but just energetically being present. And then I guess my return to that was, like I say, I know my return to that was to let my twin know, like, we're in this together. But I don't think I really worded it that way. I just was like, you have a purpose in this life, and I felt like that was maybe something that she wasn't exactly told before. And a lot of, like I said, her examples were bad influences, and there's a way to get information out of people without being deceptive, and without lying, and without creating, you know, this fabrication of things, because when you do that, it's more of a forced energy, and it doesn't always bring great, there's always still missing pieces, and the story's not that great. And I had to endure a pretty decent amount of watching people lie and fabricate something to pull out the truth of a situation, and then ultimately I'm the one that is supposed to bring truth to it. So I'm hoping this is the end of me telling that truth, because I am so tired of talking about it. And even though I know a lot of good things are coming to me, but it's still, I didn't just see it happen to me. It also happened to my friend Valerie, and it happened to a couple other individuals, and I think she said something that happened to her twin as well, and so it's some people can just talk about this stuff, but when you truly experience just the evil of the most evil, especially within the justice system and things of that sort, it's hard. And my friend Valerie was telling me how she there was a lot of nights she cried through her journey because she just wanted to keep her kids safe, and she knows the angels watch after them, but when she told me those things, it hurt, because even though I don't have my own kids, but it's just, in a sense, it's something I take very seriously, and I believe we all have that inner child, and it brings so much beauty into this world, but it gets stuffed down from, people's deceptive behavior and pulling the veil over our eyes. So, yeah. So if you're around people that try to just do dramatic, off-the-wall stuff, without, any good intentions, like, I'm not saying, like, do dramatic, like someone trying to, give you gifts, but you shouldn't be around anyone that tries to really super love bomb you either. But, just bad drama, just not a good vibe. If you're around people like that, I just encourage you to just walk away while you still have, whatever you left. I had to block a lot of people, and it really wasn't that hard for me to do it, but it was just the fact that I knew these individuals for well over a decade, and the fact that they were attacking me as I was going through my divorce. It was hard, because then I didn't have many people in my corner, and I had some people around me, but I just couldn't talk about a lot of it just because it was there was so much jealousy behind what people did to me, and it was pretty hard being in that situation. And then whenever I contacted Valerie, and I found, I'm not going to say glad that she went through the same, but just it was a relief to know that she understood exactly where I was coming from, because she's well versed in a lot of different topics just like me, but she went through a lot of that first before I did, and so she for a little head, she's got a lot of knowledge up there, a lot of wisdom, and she carries a lot of love in her heart, that's for sure. And I do too, but her story is a lot more worse than mine, but there were a lot of similarities that was just oddly weird, and that's what kind of helped me have more compassion towards the situation, just because I was like, someone else went through this, and it's like a pattern, and there's something going on astrologically that things need to be cut out. So that helped, knowing that information helped me have more compassion for the situation I was going through, but it still left a lot of voids that I've had to try to manifest to fill. As far as trying to get into a new home, because there were, I tried to apply for one at one point, and I was going to send over my papers and like my tax stuff, whatever, and then there was something I picked up in the energy field that didn't feel right, and there were people that were supposed to be protecting me that weren't protecting me, and they just kept trying to sell my information off to third parties. And when I say third parties, like other assistants, like people that do like demographics and like economics studies and things of that, for like funding and budgeting and whatever. And it was like they just try to keep putting me in another game after another game, all while just smiling in my face, trying to let me think that they were a decent individual to talk with about my situation when I had nobody else. And so I tried to put my faith in that and look at it a positive way, because I wanted it to be positive. And it turned out those people were just as nasty as the people I left behind, including my ex. So it sucked, but ultimately I didn't end up getting the housing that I needed at the time, and it really sucked. So now I just sit here every day waiting on a miracle that happens for me, because I know I deserve that, because all I ever wanted was just a home, a place to call home, and grow my legacy and leave something good behind, which I know I've already done that energetically, and I know that'll carry on. But it just really sucked knowing that like I don't look for a lot of glamour or luxury in life. I'm a very simple, down to earth individual, but one thing I wanted was just like a really nice house that was new, that I didn't have to put a lot of work into, and I can call it mine, and I can build from there, and start new beginnings, or whatever, have it. So that was it still is something that I greatly desire to have, but it was just the energy that was trying to prevent me from doing that, that was causing deceptive behaviors, and there was something having to do with cybersecurity stuff that came up, and it was interfering with the process, along with some of the quantum computing stuff. So there was just a lot going on, and there was this spirit of the narcissist, and just people being jealous of the help that I was receiving, because they were the ones that were projecting things towards me, and I felt a lot of this in the spirit, and it was pretty scary to pick up on those energies. But I was like, I didn't know who these people were. I just knew that I was there to help others, and the more I get help, the more I can help others, because that's how I am, and that's just how things work. That's cause and effect. And so whenever that happened, it was really heartbreaking, because I really, really wanted that, and needed it, and I still need it. But it was all because people were trying to fabricate things against me, and some of them didn't even fit my journey. It was like I was picking up on someone else's BS that I shouldn't have had to go through. But anyways, the second one is people that are ungrateful partners. So if you find people that show ungratefulness, being ungrateful is manipulating your energy to force you to go out of your personal limits and boundaries, waste your money, time, energy, tries to ruin your reputation, laughs at you for any progress or growth you want to embark on, tries to manipulate your mind with games to get you to go outside of your good character, to be selfish and inconsiderate. It's good to take time for yourself after leaving an ungrateful partnership so you don't take it into your next relationship or even a friendship. And when I say partners, I mainly just, that's anything having to do with relationships or friends, family, whatever have it. But ungratefulness, in my experience, has also been another one that being around ungrateful people causes it sticks and you don't know. But another part of that ungrateful energy that I experienced is because a lot of my money and my time and my energy I felt was wasted on other things that it shouldn't have been wasted on, from third parties that came in and out of jealousy and were just trying to pick their nose in my business because somebody was actually trying to do something good. And they say if you're doing something right, the devil's after you, and I really don't even like saying that, because it's like, why would we want to say those words and project that and spell that into our reality? It doesn't make sense to me. But I have said that in the past, but it's just, I wish I hadn't. But it wasn't, like I said, a lot. It's just something I wish we'd just get rid of, stop saying it. Because there are other ways we can say, get that point across, but I don't like the way that one is, personally. But yeah, these people were trying to push my limits and my boundaries, trying to get me to do things that I didn't feel were right to do. And whenever I stood my ground, this is one of those things that happened with the housing stuff, was I stood my ground and they didn't like that. They thought I was just gonna sit there and take the handout and shut my mouth and whatever have it, and I didn't, because there's just so much there that didn't feel right, and there are people trying to set me up in another way, and I didn't like that. Some of them were trying to one lady was trying to set me up in for a relationship kind of thing. Like, she's trying to write my narrative, like my life story for a relationship, and poke her nose in there. And so this is one that I let my twin know about, because I was like, the people that my twin had in her environment and her wheelhouse at the time were not good people. And there are a lot of things that are hidden that a lot of people don't see. But if you feel them and your intuition's telling you to speak about it, you definitely should speak about it. But do it tactfully, I would say. For the most part, I've moved in silence through a lot of this, and this right here is me going over some of those things that happened to me. And my friend Valerie also experienced some of these to some extent. So it wasn't just a one-person thing. It was a thing that happened in the collective, and there are some of us that had extreme versions of twin flame, soulmate, or just life lessons to learn recently. And so I haven't heard anyone really talk about any of this stuff. So that's why I'm coming out to speak about some of it, just so people know that there's another individual, a couple other souls out here that have gone through some horrible things and seen the devil in their face, and we made it through. And that currently right now, myself and my friend Valerie, we've been doing a lot of things to work towards domestic violence and create kits for cybersecurity for people that get divorced, because her divorce was pretty brutal with her ex. because her ex was hacking into her stuff. Even after I came out about that story, about how all the channel, like how the stuff got started, how I got started into how we found each other on YouTube through one of the comment sections, and recognized it was each other. But yeah, after that came out, she was actually still being hacked by her ex, and that was another thing that came into the housing stuff, and the projections her ex had, because her ex was a covert narcissist. She wanted her life to be so horrible for leaving her, and I just thought that was disgusting. I still think it's disgusting. I still wish healing and all that on to her ex and anyone, because I know that it's not completely always their fault, but you get choices in this world. But there's some of us that are born with souls, and there's some of us that are not. She had someone that was born with thoughts but no soul, and you still work out karma with your thoughts, but she just didn't have a soul, from what she told me. So it's really horrible. And then, scary enough, her twin and her ex's energy were very much entangled somehow. I think it was because they met in the same year, 2012, I think. And so she met her twin before she met her ex-spouse, and then there's some energetically that happened, which was what Valerie unveiled to be one of the war games and the setups that the spiritual domain of the military set up, for her. And so it was pretty horrible, and I don't know how she kept it together, but she gave me a lot of hope for my situation, because mine was kind of had a similar thing, and I don't know why it had to be. It was almost like you'd call it like the white picket fence karma gauntlet. I don't know, but it's like a lot of it just had to do with housing, and hers had kids involved, and I think her twin also had kids involved, and I know she was just trying to protect them from whatever was happening, because it was ridiculous, and it was yeah, I just don't know how she kept it together, but I hope that her twin are working past a lot of whatever. I mean, I don't ask her like too much about it, but because I just know that we just don't like to talk about it with each other, but because like we almost just don't have to, because a lot of it was similar. So she just had kids, and I didn't, but yeah. So if you find someone that is ungrateful, and they don't appreciate things, and I can tell you, my ex would always say that I was ungrateful, but it was actually my ex that was ungrateful, because I put in a lot of energy and time and money into my relationship, and I didn't try to look at it like that. I look at my relationships as we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we're all here to grow and learn together, and that to me is beautiful. And it's so when it comes to a lot of the money and all the things, even though those are all great, but they don't mean much if you're not happy, with your partner, and that really sucks, because I truly loved my ex, and at one point I thought I was in love with my ex, even though she wasn't I mean, I didn't go off of the looks. It just went off of something that I thought, I seen inside of her. But I don't know whose energy was there. But I don't know, like, exactly. It was just weird. Because later I was like, I don't know if there was a spirit, or if it was my twin flame that perhaps was kind of, meddling around in my ex's energy, because I've realized that is something that happens, or the spirit of our twins can follow into other relationships that we're in, and kind of check in, and I think it's something that happens unconsciously, because there's an astral travel, and like when you go to sleep, your body, you can have an outer body experience, and all these things can happen in the spiritual realm of things, and you can travel to places while you're sleeping, and then not even know that you're messing around. So that's why they say it's important to keep a dream journal and all that. But yeah, my ex would call me ungrateful a lot, and after a while I realized it was hard to just sort out what was actually said by my ex and what could have been said by potentially my twin in their dark side, which is weird. But after talking with Valerie and she told me about hers, I was like, yeah, now that makes so much sense how that can happen, because some of them will body hop into other individuals and have conversations with you. It's happened to me. I've gone to when you can see into the spirit, I say when you have the gift to see into the spirit, that's when you'll have those experiences, especially if you're on a twin flame journey. These things happen. But I've gone to the bar, or I've gone to and just go to read a book. Like I go read books at bars. Like I'm weird like that. I don't really care. Like it's just something that's relaxing. Have a nice little beer and read a book. Like it's relaxing for me. But I would go, and then there were just certain people that would kind of come up to me, talk to me, and they would say certain things that made me realize, like I would also feel it intuitively too, that my twin's trying to come through the spirit and kind of check in on me, which I'm grateful for that. But when you've been on the extreme version of a twin flame journey, it can kind of hurt sometimes when there's other individuals that are sitting there, and then you're feeling and hearing your twin come through, and as great as that is in the moment, but when it's like the person's gone or they left or whatever happens, it gets kind of sad, because then you just remember what it was like to be next to your person at one time in the flesh, and then to have them come through like that, as miraculous and great as that experience is. There's still just that little bit of hurt that exists, and like I said, this is more for the more extreme journeys, and it can apply through all of them. I'm not going to exclude that, but it's just from my viewpoint, and what I felt, it really hurt. So then I started having to weed that out, because I want my person to come forward, and I need them to come forward, and I need them in my life, so we can continue on working together in the flesh, now that all the bad stuff's gone, and all the all the bad things are gone now, and all the BS is gone, and there's no more third party situations that are there's still some that kind of help a little bit, but there's not any more that are deceptive or fabricating, because we work past all that. But yeah, just be aware of people that are ungrateful, especially now, because the spirit is, a lot of us did a lot of work throughout the last couple of years collectively to cast a lot of this out. But I'm just talking about it now because I've seen a lot of comments through the other readings throughout the tarot community and the spiritual realm domain, and some of them seem kind of ungrateful and they're wanting partners. I just don't want that to spread like a wildfire. But I don't. I had to tell someone the other day, sending them lots of unconditional love, but I had to explain, because those people just act ungrateful because they don't understand exactly. They don't understand exactly what the readers and how much energy and time, mainly energy, it takes to tap into those kinds of things, and then having to cleanse our energy after we do these things. It takes a lot out. After I did my second reading the other day, I felt really zapped. I just felt tired and drained. But whatever needed to come out came out. And then today I was kind of feeling a little bit the same, because I was writing these negative signs thing, and that's when I was like, I felt like it was time to cleanse it out. And me being an energy healer, I'd be the one that had to come out and say and talk about these things. Anyone can talk about them, but there's some of us that just have that gift of, when we talk about it, and we speak the truth about it, it dissipates, and the ball of energy is not as big, because they say energy doesn't always go away, but it creates little small ones. It's more manageable, I should say. Anyways, I'm moving on. So yeah, and if you come out of someone in a relationship from an ungrateful person, or anyone that does any of these things, it is good to cleanse your energy. One that's not in here is a lustful person, and I would say that there's a succubus and incubus spirits that you don't know that you quite have. And if you're trying to go fill the void, if you're doing any sexual acts of any sorts, or being, I would say physically intimate, that's a more appropriate way of saying it, but being physically intimate with anybody, I would just say I would hold off on that. But you live your own life. I'm just saying it's just good to give yourself time to regroup before you get into another relationship and really do the work, because the spirit is becoming very strong, and whatever was above is coming down, and a lot of things that are above are coming down, because we're in this very big ascension period on Earth, and it has to do with all kinds of things, astrologically and environmentally, and just the Earth spinning around, gravity. It has all that in there, and but doing energy work does help that, and that is something. That's why I put a lot of value on life, on someone's soul, and the power of clearing out your energy, is because you can help raise the vibration of places. And even though I was going through hard things, I was still able to cleanse out energies, even when I didn't know how to completely know how to cleanse my own, but I was still able to hold on to it and cleanse it. And eventually situations got better, and then they would come back around again, but I was like, I'm not dealing with it again, because I'm trying to move on with my life, because I know what I want and what I'm supposed to have this life, because of the work I've done in past lives. So that was something, me learning, like, not to go out and be one to hurry up and help, because I've already done what I needed to do, and that's not me being selfish. That's just me caring and setting boundaries for myself, spiritually and physically, because I deserve to have everything I desire in life, because of the good energy I've put out there, because of the healing I've done, and the healing that I've helped others do. A lot of it is just speaking truth into things. A lot of it's just being present, and being present for things is, it can go either or ways, but when I was present, I consciously went into a situation confidently knowing I can heal energy in this place, so whatever bad is here will leave, and I did that. A lot of it had to do with businesses, and that was a lot of the main work that I did, was healing energy through businesses or nonprofits, or mainly things with veterans and the VA and all that. But yeah, so that was, I'm pretty well versed in that, so I know that, just staying away from things, or after you get out of a relationship, and giving yourself that time to cleanse out anything, is clearly you were there to learn a lesson, and then you just kind of go into solitude or hermit mode, and work on yourself and cleanse out, and come to your realizations, to your self-reflections, and work out that energy, work out those thoughts, and then transmute it, from the bad to the good. And it does so much more than most people think. I mean, you go out with your friends after you get, I heard things like divorce parties or whatever, and I was like, that's pretty cool. But I was like, that's kind of a different way to cleanse it, kind of putting the good in there, not in like, oh, I got divorced. Like, that's a form of transmutation, is having, a divorce party, but just to kind of, I guess in a way, be cutting the cake, cutting the cord, and moving on. But you still have to do that, the thoughts, and the realizations of what you were in that relationship to learn. It's like that one song, I forgot who the artist is, but she said it's like, thank you next, and she wasn't wrong. And when I heard that song, that's when I realized, that actually helped me realize, I understood the assignment of that song when they made that, because it is like that. That is how relationships work. It's like, thank you for the experiences, for the lessons, and the next. It's like leaving a job, or anything like that. You want to leave on good terms, and be like, thank you, be grateful, be forgiving, show compassion, and then next, because that's how life's supposed to go. So yeah, you can look that up. I just type in thank you next, but I don't remember who sings that song. But it's definitely an anthem. It's definitely an anthem song for the collective at this time, just as we're working through these cycles, and after the eclipse and all that. So the third negative sign is cruelty. So someone that lashes out with bad intentions towards anything living, non-living. It could be clothes, nature, things in nature, animals. It could be the chairs at the dinner table. It could be food of that sort. So I would tell you, when I was with my ex, and this is just a pattern I believe that happens to those of us that are, earth angels or healers and the chosen, and is we go through, and high empaths, we seem to attract the narcissist because they think we're people pleasing, and I wasn't really people pleasing. I was more just I just wanted my person to heal because I saw brokenness. But and Valerie's the same way too. But our attachment styles are very secure, but from the relationships we were in, we absorbed the horrible attachment styles that our exes had, and that was something her and I both were talking about a year ago, just like how we absorbed so much of that, and how because our vibe is so high, how that other people that weren't aware of how that works, and we weren't aware of it at the time either, but we definitely came to the realization that we were putting off a certain vibe because we didn't know how to cleanse our energy then, and we laughed about it, but it was still just like, wow, that happens with everybody, um, but there were times when I was in my relationship, and I would slam a door or something, and I didn't like doing that, and I didn't understand why I was doing that. And then my ex told me that she would get into fights with her parents, and I think this is just something all kids do. All kids did, it's just something adolescents do. Um, but I guess she would get mad, slam the door, when she got mad at her parents, and she'd just go in her room and stay there, which is a common thing, adolescents do it. But when I was younger, I wouldn't be caught dead slamming a door. So when I did it as an adult, that's another situation where I learned that I was absorbing a lot of my ex's energy and narcissistic things, but so I was like, I didn't like, you know, slamming doors, or, I threw something one time. I was like, this just isn't me, and that's when I realized I was starting to become really sick, because my light was going down, because I was absorbing things from just being in constant fights and arguments all the time, and it's really hard to be on that, and I was kind of a little upset with myself because I didn't really find out what a narcissist is until 2021, which I feel like a lot of people went through that, because there was another lady I talked to, she was talking about how she went through something like that too, and it was like, kind of was like, it was a theme, like the people that were in narcissistic relationships, the empaths, we all left, and then it caused, some weird reaction in the energy field or something, but it needed to be done. But a lot of the things were, when I talked with these people, it was, and some other veterans as well, a lot of it was the same things. Like, we would just lash out and not understand why we're lashing out when we had never done that, and we didn't realize that we were very empathic, and we were absorbing the energies and the stuffed down, avoidant behaviors of our exes. And so yeah, it was a thing. But after that, I mean, I haven't, after leaving my ex, I mean, I felt so much fall off, that I instantly got a lot better in my health fairly quickly, not being in that environment with my ex, but it was still, it still felt pretty set up at the same time, which that was another thing, because there was a hidden third party, something having to do with some people that know how spirituality works and how energy works, that were taking notes and able to astral travel into the home. And it was just really, there's people that do this, and it's not okay. They call them monitoring spirits, and there are people in physical flesh form that know how to go monitor without physically being there, and it's a form of black magic, and it's not okay. There's some that that there's angels that go and they look, watch after us, and but everything is done with intentions, and so a lot of these people had bad intentions, or intentions to make money off that, and that is it's sick. And I haven't researched a lot of that dark stuff, some of the light, and I do not have any desire to look up any of that and have that in my subconscious. So yeah, just know that if you're one of those individuals that's out there and you find yourself lashing out or acting a certain way, I would definitely look at the individual you're with, assess and see if it's you or them, or it could be both of you. Do that inner child looking and healing, and if you have to leave, or take a time out, or whatever it is you feel you need to do or you're guided to do. I would definitely pray about it if you pray. But yeah, that was something that I realized in myself, and I did not like it one bit. And once I realized why I was doing it, it abruptly stopped, and I am glad I didn't do anything too brash to get me in trouble. But I just wanted to share that, speak my truth into that situation, because it seemed like it was just like a constant in like the research I did between myself and Valerie and the other veterans and other people that I talked with. It's just that was one of the key indicators, was just having these sudden outbursts, lashing out, and not understanding why we were doing that. And it turns out we were all just empaths with narcissists, and that's just what it was. So it's a pattern to definitely look for. Number 4 is a distant person, so a non-inclusive person who puts hatred and fear into someone to create darkness. The separative person that builds walls around their heart. So this is kind of what that twin flame journey looks like, because it's like you have to heal yourself and then heal your twin. And there was this was one of the ones that I was talking about earlier, where there are people that just tried to make that false experience appearing real, fabricating, creating illusions, to get me to not have confidence in my God and my faith, that everything's going to work out. And that was horrible. And they were trying to get me to, there were spirits and just physical people that were just really in their demons. They were just trying to really just push my buttons, and do things with a smile on their face and be sarcastic about it. And that hurt, because I just, in my mind, I just couldn't imagine, because I just don't like to see the world that way. Like, there's that song, most people are good, and I used to sing that song all the time, because I believe most people are good, but I know we all have things we have to work through, and there's certain individuals like myself and Valerie and our twins that now we're at the point where we've healed our twin, we've healed ourselves, we've gone through this, and other people have too, and some of us are realizing these healing gifts we have. But anytime anyone does energy work on themselves and clears out karma, you do get blessed with that gift of healing, to be a healer, but you have to be very careful having that gift, because you don't want to be out there trying to heal the wrong kind of situations, because there are people that pick up on that, and they're like, these people try to get me to do things and manipulate me into situations, and I'm a very trusting and loving person, and this is what made me realize I need to set some freaking boundaries in my life and with the people around me, because no one should want someone to go out and do something dark. Like when you're kids and you're like, oh, go do that, go give that kid a wedgie, like that's still not okay, because it's bullying. You should never condone that. kind of behavior. But I grew up in a time where that was a thing. But and I myself was like, oh, let's go get that kid a wedgie. But it wasn't like a certain certain group. It was just some kid that, that would hang out, between mutual friends, and we all kind of at some point, got a wedgie from one of the people, but it was still like, we probably shouldn't have done that. But I really don't like saying kids are kids either, because there's just something that happens when you do things like that. It carries in a way, and it seems so innocent, but it's not. It's still a form of cruelty. And so, yeah, there's just people that were trying to get me to kind of infiltrate on somebody else, and I didn't like that feeling at all. And try to get me to like intrude or in any kind of way. Like, I just did not like that feeling. It was very manipulative, and it's also a form of mind control. And I'm not saying I was completely naive, but I was a naive individual. I didn't know a lot of things, but once I learned and I promised myself I was going to self-develop and grow, that's when I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I stood my ground, and that's what made a lot of other people mad. And but a lot of their actions were just so childish. And I'm telling you, when I was going through this, and some of this with people with the VA too, I was like, what in the world is going on here? Like, I just felt like I was in some other dimension. But I mean, we're multi-dimensional beings, but it's still just so weird, because I was like, these grown adults acting this way and saying things the way they'd say them, and just playing these games. And some of it felt like training, but then there's some of it was just like too much. It was just like over the top. I mean, I'm glad that it happened just because I learned more, but it's still just, some people took it to an extreme that they were just very like the ego existed there. And I was like, I don't like dealing with a lot of like, we all have like some form of ego, but just like the really, like the egotistical, like just self-serving, like, help me do this and I'll give you this. And like, that's when I started realizing, like, these people ain't giving me nothing. Like, they were fabricating these lies. And I'm not gonna lie, I went along with a couple of them. No one got hurt, but like, I got hurt, and I ended up on the crap end of the stick. And then I had to report that up, and that was hard to report because it's hard to explain how that went down. And it sucked. But I was like, it got the truth out there, but it was still just. But these are the things that were happening. The things that happen in the spiritual realm. People need to start paying more attention to their ancestor lines and all that, because I'm telling you, a lot of us experienced that generational karma breaking, and it's becoming more frequent, and a decent half of it, I would say about 2/3 of it is probably gone, but there's still a third out there, that others are going to have to do their work as well. And it's not going to be like you get to choose, because when it comes to the divine and the universe and working out that energy, the majority of individuals will not have that option to just leave it, but I'm not going to talk more about that because that's a whole other thing. But yeah, with the distant person, with my twin, that sucked, because it was like I was trying to communicate to my twin certain things, and then I just felt like I didn't. I felt like I had to. I just I just didn't like that distant feeling while going through all that, because then I'd also feel my twin and hear my twin, there's a certain point where my twin did some pretty dark stuff, like a lot of this, but it all happened very much like in the beginning part, but I just kept sending, the message telepathically to be like, hey, like this isn't okay. When you come into your third eye stuff, like when your third eye opens and when you're coming into a lot of it, I'll say that the you embrace your shadow, there's a damn near invisible line between the light and the dark, and I'm going to say that right now. But since I had already done a lot of light work when I was a child, and doing missionary work and things of that nature, and talking to adults, about God and Jesus and all that, and not being forceful about it, which my friend Valerie did a lot of that too. So I thought it was so funny when we met in basic, because we talked a lot about that, how we were missionary kids, and I felt like that was probably something that happened, that needed to happen. It was something that I think our generation, it was a thing, and it needed to be a thing for exactly what we all have been going through. So there's a pattern there, but it was like kind of cool to discover that together. Like, like, yeah, that's cool, you're a missionary kid, like that's awesome. Like, you don't never know, because I was one of the youngest ones in my group, and so it was just kind of cool to hear that come from her. But it was just like, we did a lot of light work when we were younger, so when it came to our third eye opening and coming into spirituality, and the veils being uplifted, we both were talking about how you didn't see the line, you have to feel the line, but what's good and bad, but then there's another part of you where you don't, where sometimes God asks you to kind of go a little more forward, and you have to really have discernment, the gift of discernment, to know, like, hey, this isn't me talking, this is the demons or whatever. Which, it wasn't really hard, because there's a certain signature that demons have, and the narcissistic spirits have, that you can know the difference. But there are just some of us that were asked to go into some of the most blind, darkest things, to heal the energy of it, and it sucked, really getting to the core of it. And then we think of the soul being your core, being your light, and then the world, or the earth has a core, and it's hot lava, it lights up, and so the earth has a core that's light as well. So, but there's just a certain depth of darkness. Things are things and things, but there's a lot of compassion and forgiveness, a lot of patience, and unconditional love. I sent my twin, because I just remember having moments where I was like, that's not how we should do that. And it wasn't me trying to be like, this is my way or the highway, because I'm not like that. It was just me sending that, like, this is so messed up, and like I was like, I just couldn't. I felt kind of bad that I was just sending like the communication back, saying, I can't believe that you were entangled with this kind of filth. And I would telepathically send that, and I didn't like that at all, because when I saw my twin, and then I had seen her again, the light that I saw I didn't see any of this darkness stuff, but it was in there, and I found out, and that's when I found out what third parties are, and that's when I started discovering what wargaming is, and I started discovering how, in the military, we have a thing called an index, and how things weren't being indexed before they would go out in the military as a spirit. Well, the Army has a spiritual domain. They've had it for a long time, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like I just can't believe that's the kind of stuff that my twin was involved in. And then I realized that my twin experienced more people that may have been like, oh, you got a gift, and da-da-da-da. And like I remember people telling me the same thing, but I was very discerning, so I didn't get myself involved with a lot of other people's agendas. But the work that my twin was doing was for the military at a very high level, for commanders and stuff. And I mean, I thought that was very admirable work, to have the confidence to be in that position, and to speak truth into things, for those situations. But when I realized the agendas that the others had, and there was a part where I kept getting these downloads where it was like I would see her, in a situation, and I'd see that she was really trying to genuinely just help. So I guess in those situations she was naive, but I mean she's also she's very attractive. So I mean, people threw themselves at her for sure, but they were also intimidated by her. But I mean, I guess I just didn't show those things. It was like my person was the least person I expected to have that experience with. But and there was a point where I was about to experience that. I'm in the military myself, so I stopped wearing makeup and all that, and because I felt like I was getting perfect treatment, a nice treatment, because of the way I looked, and that's what I realized. Another point where I was like, this person's definitely gonna be my twin, because like you mirror each other, but then there's also like this thing where you kind of go through a certain timeline. So like I stopped wearing makeup and all that because I wanted people to see me for me, and then I got not the greatest treatment. I mean, it wasn't like a horrible like abuse, but it was still like there was a lot of psychological abuse that happened, because I wasn't that pretty girl wearing the makeup and flaunting myself, and because I was there to do a job, and regardless of what it was, I tried to stay professional during duty hours, but it was just and I didn't get like super unprofessional outside of that. I mean, other than when I was young, you drink and you do ridiculous stuff, but like nothing to hurt anybody. But it was just like, it was kind of like a thing in the military, and I wish a lot of that would phase out. And towards the end of my service, I definitely tried to do my best to stop the drinking stuff, and because it just created more issues than we all needed. So I lived and I learned, and whatever wisdom I took from when I was younger, I brought it definitely towards the end. And some people thought I was a little stuck up for that. I was like, no, the things that I seen and dealt with, and having to be Mother Goose, I just don't condone a lot of it, because we're, got to get up and do stuff the next day. But anyways, I'll drop that. But it was, when I realized that people were just throwing themselves at my twin and to get what they want, and flattering, and that's when I realized that my twin had those some abandonment issues of some sorts, or some forms of like their mother or women in their family, like a very vain, or trying to make them live up to some really high standard. And I experienced that with my dad. My mom was pretty lenient for the most part, but I was more disciplined in the lenient thing, because that's how I am. I'm being ADHD. I mean, it feels like the more lenient people are towards me, the better I grow and strive, and I can focus more on being disciplined in the situation versus when people are being very forceful and trying to push and project. I don't do well in that. I've gotten better at it now, but it's like I'm so past all of that now, it doesn't even really matter I almost forget that those situations even existed at one point in my life, because that's how much work I've put into myself. But that's when I realized that my twin had some things with just parents not being just trying to hold her to standards that, just I don't know all of it, because I mean she hasn't told me, but I definitely felt that, and I realized that's a lot of how she got into the positions that she was in, with the individuals she worked with, in the service, and the people she had around her, and then it made me see, and be more understanding and patient with her process, even though it sucked, because it, like, when you mirror someone, there can be thoughts that they have that gets to you, and then you end up being the one going through you go through the worst with them, and it sucked, because it was like, not only am I people are coming at me and are ticked that I'm standing in my power, but it just kind of kept going back and forth. I felt like energetically with my twin, and my twin had her own house and all that, and I wasn't like jealous of that. It was just like, what is going on with my twin that it's causing the ridiculousness that I'm dealing with. And it's like we were like in no contact, but I still send messages, and the best way I could, even when I really didn't want to, but I sent them because there was just so much entanglement going through. It was like, I need to make it direct, because I can't do the I just took leaps of faith when it came to some of them, because some people were just trying to like get us to just not talk to each other. I mean, people really wanted us to lash out against each other, and she fell into that trap. I wasn't having it. I just wasn't having it. I was like, I'm not gonna treat my person like that. And in the beginning, I did have like a couple things. I accused my twin of before I got out of the service, which is some of the stuff was the reason why I had to get out, because they just didn't appreciate me. And I feel like in a lot of ways they weren't appreciating her, but I spoke truth into a situation, and people got ticked, and it caused a lot of crazy energy and things happening, and spirits flying, and a lot of them attached to me when I left, and it got scary, because I was like, how are these things following me? And that's another reason I was like, I gotta learn how to protect my energy here, but yeah, it's forgiveness, compassion, and patience, and unconditional love goes a long way, for anyone, not just twin flames, but just everything's energy. Your thoughts are energy. But if you got people that are distant, they only want you there, and they project fear into you, and they try to get you engulfed in their darkness, because that's just not a narcissistic thing. They're just people that are out there that do that because they just have a deep wound that they don't know how to heal or talk about, but people that are separative people, that build the walls around their heart, if you know how to go in and heal those situations, by all means, you better than anyone, but it's not good to have in partnerships, I can say maybe there, because they say separation is an illusion in the twin flame journey, and I believe that, because you're not really completely separated from your twin, and I kind of don't always like the fact that I feel like I have to have mine here with me in the physical, but it's just the mission and the amount of work we have to do that is like the part that's really important, that we both have to be present for the next part, just because of where we're going with that. But it's you have to really discern with certain people too, because there can be even though we were at a distance, there's still a lot of energy, very heavy energy, that I can feel like in the beginning it was not very inclusive. I felt very excluded in some ways, but then that is when I was able to start feeling that the distance was more just to protect our relationship, so we can eventually come back together in reunion. But I had to really feel out those situations where my twin was trying to come in and be inclusive, and after a while, I started feeling it more of it was just my twin only being inclusive, and then my reality started shifting in my environment. What I see every day with my eyes, I'm not just seeing into the spirit, but just it started looking different. I started feeling the good energy, and that's how I was like, okay, so we worked through a lot, and that is I feel like something that people don't really talk about on the twin flame journey. It's like, because I see all these comments about, I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 videos out there about it, but it's ultimately like you're building like your business, your perfect business partner is almost like it is, because you want to go into that, and there's a couple out there that does that, but I don't agree with the way that they did it. I think there was like a special about them on Netflix or something, but I hope that they've worked that out, but they were very forceful towards their followers, and I just didn't think that was right, where they were trying to have complete control over their followers' twin flame journeys, and it was like I'm sure it started with good intentions, but when I saw that documentary, I was like, yeah, that's not okay. And that's when I realized, like, I was picking up that energy too. And I was wondering, like, did my twin get us into some situation with people? Because I definitely felt that energy of people trying to have control over whatever. And I'm just saying, like, the spirit realm, there's so much there that, that as above, so below, that's real. And whatever's going on up in the spirit, around the spirit, it's reflecting into our lives. And I just wish more people would understand, and that's why I'm also talking about, some of these difficult things to talk about, because it's just, it's the spirit. Everyone has a spirit about them, but it's just becoming more evident that you have to know thyself, know thy spirit, know thy soul, be very situationally aware, because things are changing, and I won't go on another tangent about it, but yeah, so just a person that's distant, right off the bat, don't get into a partnership with them. Chances are they might have some kind of hidden agendas. Just be very aware and conscious in those situations. Or if your partner starts displaying those things and you're under contract, I'd figure out how to get out of those contracts, because the contracts aren't just on paper. In the 3D, they can also be on a contract in the 5D. And like I was saying before, I got in contracts on this soul level that I didn't know I was even in. And it was all because I nodded my head yes and someone took that and ran with it, and it was people that were doing some dark spiritual work, and well, I found them, and they got caught, and turns out they had some crazy looking altars and stuff, and I kind of found out about it later on after I'd already caught it, but it was still just crazy to think that I doubted my intuition for so long, and I could have been catching all kinds of these people, and I still kind of do, but I haven't tapped into a lot of it lately because I'm focusing on my romantic life and not my work life, because I feel like that was something else that my twin and I were very bad at, was wanted to always work, but we had our different reasons for it. So in a way, we both were distant, but it was, I think it's just something that people that are that deeply bonded and you don't know, you get those, you do kind of get distant. But I mean, I was with a covert narcissist, so of course I'm going to be distant, whenever I can, just to feel a sense of relief, like I can breathe, because it was a constant nagging and everyday arguing, and it's exhausting. But I really don't know exactly how my twins was, but it's just, I can understand from part of her upbringing, from the downloads that I got, why my twin was distant and why all that other stuff happened, and why the distance actually did have to happen. But we cleared that all out, but it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, and patience for her. And that was hard, because I felt like I was trying to convince the devil to build a bridge or something, and I was like, this is just crazy. Number 5, attacking someone with collected information gathered on them while hiding their actions behind their smiles and sarcasm. Someone who projects bad words and thoughts towards you impulsively. So if you have someone that calls you names and it's out of joking, I recommend nipping that in the bud really quick. Don't let people talk to you that way. There's one reader recently, I realized there's a lot of newer individuals and other things coming into the comments of the readers, but some of them, there have been some guys and a couple females that kind of coming in with some very hard energy, trying to get to know the readers, a little lustful energy, that I was like, yeah, I don't like that. That needs to go. But I can't tell someone how to run their channel, and I'm still trying to figure out how to, message them directly and whatnots. But it was just like, I wanted to reach out and tell one of the readers that, you need to stand your ground and tell that individual to not talk that way, and then I'd block them right after. That was something I had to do with people too. Just they're people that try to say things about me, and I just like, no, like, they thought it was funny, and some of my own family members did it. They thought it was funny to talk to me a certain way, and I was like, you're not gonna talk to me that way. We're not talking to each other that way. That's not how it's gonna go down. And they didn't quite like that, but as far as the attacking someone, collecting information they gathered against them, that was something my twin did do. I gave my twin all kinds of information, and she took it, she ran with it, and that hurt. And ultimately, it was for us to catch the individuals we've caught that were doing black magic and doing really horrible things to not just service members but regular people with families, that had children. And my friend Valerie actually knows a lot more about that's that part of it. But after talking with her, like, it was just mind blowing how this kind of goes along the lines of anthropology. That was something I was really into at one point, but when I realized what people really do with that information when they collect things, like everything's science. There's like 64 different fields of science, if not more, now, because we got the quantum fields and all that going on. But there's I just thought it was weird that I was, like, in the beginning of my journey, I had a very hard desire to be an anthropologist, and it wasn't until all this stuff started unfolding when I realized that a lot of the government is they collect the information on us, the cyberspace, like all that, and like we all have cell phones, like all this stuff's already happening, but there's some people that take it to the extreme. So there's like something called ethical hacking. There's something that I read about, because I was like, I don't know how to hack anybody. I know how to, speak the demons out of you, but I mean, I guess that's a way of spiritually hacking in a way, but it's like I don't do it to, put something bad in you. I'm like, I just want you to, be the best version of yourself, and that's the difference. But when I learned that there's ethical hacking people do on the cyberspace, cyber security end, the psyops and all that, that's when I realized, I was like, oh crap. That's when I started learning more about like, the electromagnetic field, and like how I was actually picking up on a lot, and that was actually how I caught some people doing the wrong things with things like Zoom calls and things of that nature, just because I was able to pick up on the information gathering. But it like, this is where I'm not going to go into all of it, but just like everything is connected in some way, and whatever is in the dark will come to light, and that is the truth. But it was just my passion for anthropology that made me realize that I gave my twin pretty much the key to partially destroy my life. And but at the time, even though I know my twin had choices, there was individuals in our hierarchy that were very aware that we're both gifted, that just thought it'd be a fun game, a fun war game to pit us against each other, and that was sick. That's sick. And it made me so mad. And I've forgiven those people, because I had to move on from it. I couldn't ruminate and dwell on it. But I'm going to speak truth about it, that there were people that, because as leaders, you're supposed to look out for things like that, the light and the potential in people. But I just find it really interesting how some of the same individuals knew exactly, well, they didn't know all of our gifts, but they knew some of them, on a spiritual level, but they didn't necessarily come out and say all that. I had one that did, but he didn't, go into detail, just like, oh, you're clairvoyant. And then I realized, like, I have a lot of the clairs and a lot of other things that aren't even the clairs, and I just got a lot of different gifts. But it was just our own higher ups collected information on us and used it against us, and that's what creates wargaming. And they say, it's all safe and whatever, but I was like, there's a certain extent where it's not helping the collective doing this wargaming stuff, because some of it is just, a decent amount of it's just an illusion built out of fear, that the worst possible scenario is going to happen. And I used to think like that, but it was like I would always have to say, we're going to prepare for the worst. We're going to hope for the best, and as long as no one dies. And I would say it like that for a reason. A lot of times, like, it'd work out, and it kind of clear out the energy, and heal it. But it's like I always felt like I was fighting against just something bigger in those situations. And people were like, "Oh, you're doing too much." And I'm like, "No, like, this is the reason why I got to do it this way." And I would get overly, being ADHD, it also sucked because I get too hyper focused into things, and I just feel like I couldn't let it go, and I didn't like that. It wasn't me just battling ADHD, it was me battling demons as well in the spirit and not being completely aware of what I was doing, like, because I felt like there were certain setups in life, like when I did missionary work, like, or if there's someone that I'm called to talk to, about the Bible or about God or about Jesus or about the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, all that. There were certain situations where that was a sacred time and space, but I didn't know that it was being carried over, and because of, I guess, the good I put into that, there were spirits attracting to me, asking for help that were dark, and I didn't realize they were following me, being an empath. And so there was just like all that, being that self-aware, not just in the 3D physical, but in the 5D, the spiritual, and all the other dimensions above. But yeah, everything's a collection of information, and that's just because we're all here living and learning. But the things that I told my twin, I went to my twin in complete confidence, used the open door policy that we had in the military, and just felt like God was like, you trust that person, and I did. But then I was like, what the crap, God, like, and I usually don't even say anything like that, to our God, but it was just, it's crazy, because it was like, I trusted this individual, but that was what made me realize, like, my twin actually was the one that manifested me back into their environment. I definitely didn't do that. I recently, after I found out, I was like, oh, we need to come together and work this out. But there's a growth period we both had to go through to learn to really have more discernment. I've had it, but I guess my twin had to learn it, and the only way that my twin could learn it was us being distant, and because of the things that she did, she had to learn to discern information, even though she's really good with the techie stuff, but she had to learn to discern information. I was like, I wasn't good at the techie stuff, but I didn't have a hard time discerning a lot of the information. And sometimes I get that little thing in the back of my head now where I'm like, I almost just don't completely trust some of it, but I'm like, I've already done the work, and so I try to look at it in a positive way, because I don't go back to the thinking that the military taught you to, prepare for the worst situation, because, like, I don't like being in that energy, in that thought at all. But yeah, she definitely had to learn some hard lessons after she took that information I gave her and ran with it, and it all ended up working out for the best in the end, which I'm glad that during the time that I said, I remember when I was talking with her in the office, I said, God makes everything that's bad into good, and I feel like I had to say that, and I didn't know why I had to say that exactly, but I'm glad I did, because I felt like because I said it, it spoke truth into a situation I didn't quite know what was happening. They say God will remove you out of a situation because he heard a conversation that you did not hear, and I felt like that's exactly what that was. But there's still this weird energy there, and a lot of it had to do with resentment from my ex, because I'll tell you what, narcissists, they want you to cheat so bad, and when you do, they, at least from the people that I've talked with, because we all had about the same exact thing happen where our exes were hoping that we cheat and so they can take us for everything they had, for everything we have, you know, in the relationship. And my friend Valerie, she didn't play that game, and I didn't play, you know, that game either. But it was just like there was a very strong sense of resentment, and just the fact that my ex wanted me to cheat so bad, and I felt like that energy was present in that office that day because I kept feeling like this feeling towards my twin before I knew, you know, she was my twin. But I was like, this is so weird feeling, you know, like I just don't understand why I feel like something's supposed to happen in this office that's, you know, infidelity or whatever you call it. Like, I didn't say that out loud because that was weird. Because, like, I don't have any, I just don't look at people in my professional settings like that. And actually, not even in my non-professional settings. Like, I'm the type of person, someone can come up to me, you know, like trying to come on to me or pick me up or hit on me or whatever. And I mean, I'm just a little special when it comes to that. It's not because I don't think that I'm, you know, not worthy to be with somebody or have people do that. It's just I don't know what it is, and that's what made me kind of think like maybe I'm a little autistic, maybe. And when it comes to that stuff, because I'm just so not socially tapped into that. I kind of got that out of my system when I was really young, I think, and then as an adult, I don't go out looking for that, and so it's just kind of just out of sight, out of mind. And so when I was feeling that energy, you know, in my twin's office, I was just like, this isn't happening. But I just felt like I couldn't leave. I just felt like there was a magnetic pull there, and it was just me trying to work. I was trying to work through it, but it wasn't until like after I left where I realized I was like, oh my gosh, you know, there was some, you know, resentment from my ex that was present there, and in ways, I mean, resentment's like black magic. I mean, it poisons your blood. I mean, it poisons a lot of things. You know, they say there's that one bad seed, and Valerie had something similar with her twin too. Her ex was doing black magic and wanted, you know, things to happen, and what she, if anything, she was praying that Valerie would cheat, and Valerie didn't do it, and she actually she's the one that taught me the whole celibate's irrelevant thing, because she went on after she got after she left her ex, she didn't do anything with anyone, and I think she wanted, someone from her past came up, and I think they were trying to get something worked out, but then she found out that person was a liar and deceptive, and that individual catfished her, and that was pretty sad, because I know how she values relationships just like I do, and so she takes a very scientific approach to some things like that, just because she wants to work out all the she's big on consent just like I am. So yeah, I was like, I can just imagine like how kind of sucky that was, but she met up with that lady, whatever, and then she cut her off, she blocked her, and I think that's when she kind of went on her blocking spree, I guess you can say, because yeah, that that was pretty bad. I was like, wow, that's insane. She's like, yeah, lady catfish me with her own photos, and that's sad, man. But it happened. But she said after that happened, she was like, yeah, no, I ain't trying to do anything with no one. She's like, I won't even hold hands with anybody. And I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, because holding someone's hand is actually a form of physical intimacy, and people take it for granted, but it is a very intimate. It's kind of, if you look at tantra, not like Kama Sutra, but like just like the genuine tantra practice of, like energetic, just touching and consenting and appreciating someone's body and their soul that's in there, and going through that process during physical intimacy. It talks about hand holding and how that is a very it's somewhat sacred too. It's not just something you just do with anybody, because you're creating energy when you do that. You're transferring energy when you do that. And so, just for those of you that didn't know, just keep that in mind, that hand holding is a very intimate act as well. But anyways, I'm gonna move on here. Number 6 is someone seeking to have their ego fed. They don't respect your rights, your boundaries, your morals, your values, your ethics. If anything, they find ways to lower your personal standards so you can feed their interest. This is counterproductive behavior, meaning it can be fixed. Toxic behavior is when there's not any hope for someone's behavior. And I kind of want to touch on that because I noticed how in the collective readings, some people use the word toxic in their reading, and I'm not going to tell anyone how to do their readings, but just I used to use the word toxic a lot until I realized the military, the army, put out in like AR 600-100 or whatever, how they switched the word from toxic to counterproductive, because whenever someone was toxic, it was like you just cut them off completely, but then there was like a level of counterproductive behavior which can be fixed. But that was something good that I learned right before I went into my journey, is knowing the difference between counterproductive and toxic. And then me and my twin were actually able to shift that within our organization. And this is one part of the part where it started getting more inclusive, because something was being relayed somehow, because we're both being watched under a microscope, but it was still just all the things that happened were just mind-blowing, and then it makes you look at life really different. And I understood why a lot of people get jaded and why they turn into the people that they were, that were doing the things they were doing to me and my twin, and mainly to me, is because of that counterproductive and toxic energy. And then those words carry so much. So counterproductive is just you can fix that behavior, and then toxic, pretty much saying like there's no hope for someone that is toxic. And like I've said before, I believe all people are good. Everyone has some light in there somewhere, unless you just don't have a soul. And there's just some people that are just, that's their role in life, and that's just what it is. But I believe that anyone can remove these egotistical behaviors out of their realms of habits, just through being optimistic about those people and sending good energy to those people. But don't be out there trying to find the vampires and start sending them. Like what I went through with my twin, like having to come out and say this, like I felt like it was going to be very hypocritical, but I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter what others think. You have to speak truth into this, because you went through a very dark, extreme part of that, and the projections and all the things that I caught on the way that I didn't deserve, but I believe in God, and I believe in my angels, I believe in my spirit guides, I believe in all the good spiritual forces, and even some of the readers in the collective, I know I felt their energy protecting me too. And it's really thoughts, it's all collective consciousness, it's really thoughts. So when someone says someone's toxic, I don't think that's a good word, especially in the collective, to use myself. I guess I'm not going to tell anyone how to do that, but I was thinking of putting a post on my board about it, because there is a difference between the two, and I believe as readers and healers and mediums and all that using the word counterproductive is more productive, and shifting out of the word toxic could do the collective a lot of good, and indirectly and directly heal, a lot of the newcomers too coming in, heal their energy. So I just know the difference between that. But yeah, someone's ego. So knowing that a person may not, so like there are certain people too, and being an earth angel, a healer, and light worker and all that, and even one of the chosen, and then having the gift I have, there was a point in my journey where there's some people that I learned that I didn't have to be the one to help them, because ultimately everyone has to learn to help themselves, but I would say certain things, but then I would cut off and block and detach, and that was hard for me to learn, but it was a big part of my lesson, setting boundaries, because I have very much been the type that wear my heart on my sleeve, be vulnerable, be out there, and because I just spread love and light, and live and laugh, and but then I had to draw it back, and that was something that my twin did teach me indirectly, how to set boundaries like that, even though she didn't set boundaries, but I felt like we both were learning it at the same time through it, but it was still just setting those boundaries, and knowing when, and being okay with not helping everybody, because everyone eventually meets their match, and that's what it is. And I don't play God. I'm not God, so I don't. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I guess I had to go around and I guess play the fool for a little bit, and then come, and I learned all my hard lessons when I came into contact with my twin flame, and that's when I learned the boundaries, and how to set those for myself, and for to teach others to set them, because they was hard to learn that for me, because I've been so loving and unconditionally loving and open about everything, and I learned that there was a lot of silence that I had to do, and I was silent through most of my stuff, which is now I'm just talking about it all, and I don't care, because it needs to be said, because some people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of what others will think, and I'm not here for that. If I was afraid of what others would think, I wouldn't have taken the leaps of faith I've taken. God built me the way God built me for a purpose and for a mission, but it was just hard for me to know that there was someone else that was built for the same, that was shared soul, my twin flame, and that was another hard lesson. But yeah, just knowing when that person may not be you to help a certain individual, like it's okay to walk away from that and just pray for them, wish them healing, wish blessings come in their life, send good energy and thoughts and projections, because forcing that, forcing to help someone like that can spoil your own energy, and that was what I found out myself. But take it however it resonates with you. Take all of this however it resonates with you and your situation. But I know it covers a lot of different people, situations, and I want everyone to know that these are things that happen. But yeah, everyone meets their match eventually, and that match doesn't have to be you. You're not always there to initiate someone else's flame and be the match. To help them get through it. If you feel called, I'd say step back, set your boundaries, pray about it, read the energy, if you can do that, and go from there. I'm weird with money too, where I get certain thing like if there's handouts. So like there's something back when Bill Clinton was president that he incorporated called Third Way, and Third Way is pretty much where economically he was trying to make it to where you get a hand up, like offering a hand up to someone in life versus a hand out. And so that was one of the main things, like I had said before, like that was how I knew there were some really, really bad spirits and just really broken people around me before I even, started seeing, the Third Way things. But I was raised on some of that as well. But so I've always worked hard for everything that I have, and I'm grateful for everything I have. And it isn't just because I worked hard for it. I'd be overly grateful for something someone just gave me, as a gift. But I am very careful about who I get those from, because of just the intentions and the things I've discovered through what I went through. And like now I don't believe any of that stuff's gonna come in now. Like, I mean, if someone's like, here, you have a house, you want a house, like I'd be very accepting of it, because now I know I'm already out of the bad energy. I'm already out of my lessons. I've learned my lessons. My twins learned, her lessons. We're out of all that BS energy. So now I would be accepting of those gifts, but they have to come very direct and right and correct with it, just because of the things I went through. And I don't like to set that, but it's still a boundary, just because it was very scary experiencing that, and not having anyone to talk to about it was the other horrible part, which was weird because I always talk to God about everything. But these were some of those things that that just wasn't quite getting it. And because one of my lessons was to learn that there is someone in physical form that can help me. I don't have to just only rely on God, which is a weird thing, because most people go through their journeys where it's like you have to get in your faith and really trust God, and I'm like, why am I having to go through this? Like I've been doing that my whole life. And so when it got the script flipped, I was like, what in the flip is going on here? Like I was like, I don't, like, there's no, like, I don't know, I just couldn't believe what was happening, and that there was another individual that cares just as much as I do. But we were supposed to help each other work things out and learn and do our individual things so we can, come back together. But it was still just like mind-blowing. But it definitely, you realize there's some things I couldn't force and help my twin with, and there were things my twin couldn't exactly help me with. But now that we're past it all, we definitely met each other. We were definitely each other's match, that was for sure. But yeah, I know there's a couple of extras in there, but yeah, just, it's okay to walk away. You're not meant to help everybody, and set your boundaries, and clear out your energy. And clearing out your energy before you help someone else is also going to work wonders in your journey if you're a healer or whatever you're called to do. But it's always just clearing out your energy, and however you figure out how you need to do that. I recommend finding what your learning style is as well helped me kind of have a baseline to I don't know, it just kind of, for my brain, it worked. Just knowing what my learning style is, how I learn, and then that I was able to use that to kind of teach myself how to ground myself. And even though you can just go out and ground yourself and step in the grass and sand or whatever, like, but I have to. I like to learn all the different ways, but for me, like it was good that I learned that baseline about myself, that learn how I learn, because it wasn't just kinetically through my hands. And then that's when I was like, oh my gosh, that's why I had our time of school, because I was taking information different ways, and I calculated it so differently. I wasn't able to focus because I'm clairvoyant, and that's, I got clairaudience and clairessence and all that, so it's hard for me to focus in school like that. But I mean, I can do all kinds of crazy other wonderful things, but it's just when it's super structured, that's hard. I can still do it now as an adult, but yeah, definitely learning what my learning style was helped me evolve my healing style, and I'm working on something having to do with that, because I think that it's relevant, and it's going to become more needed, learning your healing style. And I don't think the spiritual community uses like that, but they do offer lots of different kinds of healing, which is great. And I was like, wow, there's so many different ways to do that and clear out your energy and heal and all that. But it was just learning those things, it helped. So take that if it resonates for you. If it doesn't, then just leave it. Number 7 is an inconsiderate person. So you don't want this type of person as your partner. This person doesn't care or have any empathy towards your feelings, lacks communication, no idea of how, what, where to voice communication. They have like a blocked throat chakra. This can put you in danger with their lack of not knowing how to behave, their limited consciousness, lack of self-awareness, ignoring your rights, mainly because they are non-creative. They follow an agenda and narrative that is not their own, and are unaware that they themselves also have rights. And this is why being creative in a healthy way is very important. So when I was in college, there was a lot of people like, I'm not creative, because that topic came up in a discussion board, and I was like, you are creative. And I would tell every single one of them, like, or the ones I can get to, is like, you are creative. Everyone's creative. And that's just what it is. Like, everyone has that ability. And this is before I even got into the realm of your feminine and masculine energies, the feminine energy, creator energy, like how more powerful women are than we, how society lets us feel. And everyone has their own inner power, but there was a masculine energy that was controlling the narrative for a while. Now, recently, the feminine energy is coming back, but there's a tactful way to do it. It's not like, oh, females rule all. No, it's like it's a duality between a feminine and a masculine energy. We all have them. And I'm not getting into the topics of why, the trans and the LGBTQ environment or culture groups, or why they're how they're shining light into that importance of why we need to know our feminine and masculine energies, because you see it in their I mean, I'm a lesbian myself, but I don't follow that community. I don't just because I am a lesbian doesn't mean that I have to fully participate in all the things in the community. I think I'm just socially weird, and I think social cues like that are weird for me. I just don't get involved in things unless I know I'm just supposed to be there. So that was something I kind of was, and then It was like I went through it, and then I kind of learned, and then I left. And that's usually like a lot of things in my life. I'll just go and I learn, gain empathy, understanding, and I leave. And I take it, and I try to do something really great with it. And I just take something from every different viewpoint, which is something you should look for in actual partners, someone that can take everything from different cultures and incorporate it in a way that helps the collective across different things. Because someone, this is why synergy and cohesiveness is so important, and collaborating is because you don't know until you know, and you don't know everything. So there's a purpose why there is some diversity, but you have to not have segregation. So when it comes to the feminine and masculine energies, and the creative type, because they're very creative, and the LGBTQ, I don't know all the letters, community, like these people make their own, they sew and they make their own outfits for drag, and it's pretty cool. Like I used to really enjoy watching their shows, because they'd have like bedazzles and stuff, like stuff I wish I could have done when I was a kid. And because I have a very girly side to me as well, but yeah, they're very creative, but I just feel like sometimes they don't get as much credit, and I feel like a lot of them don't know how to give themselves credit, and I don't think a lot of them understand duality and what their purpose is. And I think some way and somehow I'm gonna find a way to display that more and bring awareness to them, because like myself, I was stuck under the microscope of a narcissist, and I feel like in some economic kind of way, the way people look at them and all that, just they create an illusion in some ways as well, for themselves, so that people are looking at them some way, and that creates that fear in their minds. And so I feel like they somehow have the spirit of the narcissist that kind of hovers a little bit, because when I was in the community, there was kind of like that, oh, I'm not good enough, for society looks down on me. And I was like, and I was never that type of person, but because I hung out with those types of people, and I would hear that all the time, it was like I was programming my mind to think that I didn't belong, or I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, because of that. But I would do it anyways at home. I just wouldn't make it very well known, because there were some people that I met that were gay, and we sat down and we talked and we opened the Bible and had a very spiritually intimate moment, but then it happened and it went away, and then some of them judged me for that, but I was like, I was just called to help you. And some people just come up to me, and I'd be at a party. It was always in the most unlikely place, which is the theme of my life, which seems to happen with a lot of the chosen and like earth angels. We just get these weird situations, and it's like the most unlikely thing happens, and it's just like serendipitous, I guess you can say. Like, I don't really know, but it's like but I hope to do that, for the LGBTQ community, is bringing some enlightenment into like what their purpose is, what their light is showing, what they're really trying to display. It's not just them being this or that. Like, there's an energy happening, and they're here leading by an example through what they're doing. But I just wish that there was a more productive way that they would be able to do it, because I'm not much of a protester. Like I've said, I move in silence most of the time with my work until I get as much information as I can, and try to disseminate it in a very calm, in a very responsible way. But anyways, that's what I have for you. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and y'all have a blessed night.